then if you can find some way to try and get on board with it as best you can, and that can be a journey in itself of trying to surrender to the path and stop resisting the path. So that can be challenging, but trying to find that is going to make everything run a lot more smoothly. It is what happens when we fight against it, basically, is that life usually has to keep showing us in harsh ways you could say we're off track, if you want to put it in those terms, that we need to pay attention to this. And so that can escalate as far as the messages life, which is just us, is trying to give ourselves, to remind ourselves what we need to do. And so if we resist that and we keep saying, oh no, I've got to wait for this to happen and that to happen and everything to be lined up before I jump into it, life can just keep making things more and more difficult to get our attention because it's our time. So the sooner we can try and just get on board with, okay, this is happening, there's nothing I can do about it. So it's kind of like being on a roller coaster then. It's like I can either enjoy it and let it carry me through the ups and downs and all the unfolding and do my best to find it thrilling and interesting and be curious about it, or I can fight against it on the roller coaster the whole way and almost hurt myself trying to get out of it. So in a sense we have a choice. In a relative sense, we have a choice that way, whether to fight it or go along with it. So of course I would suggest to go with it, but typically we do fight it. I guess that's how we're wired. We don't want to lose our sense of control. And although it's an illusion, it's very sticky. It feels true. And we don't want to give that up. We don't want to give up our sense of control. We've been doing it that way all our life, feeling like we're in control. It's one of the scariest things for us to give up, that sense of control. So it's totally understandable why. But once we really get that it's inevitable, and we can actually start to enjoy it then. Yeah, it doesn't have to be suffering all the way. It can be kind of thrilling. It can be really interesting. And although there's challenges with it, of course, lots of emotional work and shadow work and seeing things that you don't want to see. It's scary and confronting and disorientating, confusing. It's all those things, but we don't have to actually fight against it. We really don't. And when we start to just go with it and just allow it to take us down the river, just get on board with it as best as we can, however we can manage that. And then we find that doors start to open for us. Things start to go more smoothly. Teachers start to appear that are a good fit for us. Healers, therapists start to appear. Everything starts to open up. Once we're on board with it, things flow more smoothly once we surrender to it. So I just thought I would offer this talk. This is one of the big things I see with clients. It was a big thing in myself as well. The transition from fighting awakening to completely trusting the process. So going from resistance to trust, it's a big journey. And I would say just focus on all the times you've been shown that it is, in relative terms, looking after your best interests, that it's not out to get you, that things, although they may be challenging, they're being lined up specifically, they're being orchestrated to help you remember who you are. And so although they might not be how you wanted them to go, things might be dropping away in life, things could be particularly challenging. But if you start to notice that, oh, it had to happen that way, you know, I was identified there, that had to happen, sort of trying to take the big picture view, that can really help you to start to understand how the process works and how it's very intelligent. And we know exactly what we're doing, and we know how to remember ourselves. We've been doing it for all of eternity. And so if we just try and get out of the way of the process, you could say, and just allow it to take us, allow it to do what it needs to do, and then we can start to enjoy it to a degree. Yeah, so I hope that helps.